Boom. Good morning. Welcome to Money Talks. Bill Barhydt here from Abra. Let's get to it. Lots to talk about today. So let's talk about Bitcoin price action, Ethereum price action. I've got some news updates. Welcome to Money So Talks. As usual, I've got the sound on here giving me feedback. At some point, I'll forget. I'll stop forgetting to turn the sound off. So that one's off. I've got the sound on in God knows how many places. So as usual, I've got the sound on. All right. So I think I fixed that. Sorry about that. All right. So let's get into it. So first of all, I want to talk about what I'm seeing. You all asked me about my reading constantly of the proverbial tea leaves. By the way, Bitcoin's up a little bit of a run, 3+ % in the last couple of hours, last 3 hours or so. But basically, we're still sideways. So if you don't read Willy Woo's newsletter or Will Clemente's newsletter, I strongly encourage you to read them. As a matter of fact, if you even look at them in advance of Money Talks, you're going to be way ahead of the game. But basically, I'll give you the quick summary of what's going on. Right, so we're clearly still in structurally speaking in the middle of this bull market. Nothing's changed. We've been for weeks now in this sideways reaccumulation band, and the fact that we've structurally been in this bull market is simply not reflected in price because we a few months ago had this selling pressure of large investors, probably hedge funds, as Willie pointed out. Which has caused this kind of sideways reaccumulation band where speculators who absorbed the coins are selling down their inventory to long-term investors. So the long-term picture then is really bullish because once this reaccumulation is complete, the supply shock that we're currently in, I again, as I said before, I don't see how this doesn't cause a move to 50K. And that's a big move from here because we're talking about 50% movement, to basically get back to what is probably historical levels of valuation, right? So again, there's still a lot of fear. Excuse me, there's a lot of fear in the market, but I still it still to me looks like once this fear subsides, the big move that's coming wants to be up. So historically, and let me see if I can bring up a chart here. Share my screen, and historically, like I said, the price should be based upon the historical numbers in that 50K range, and the fact that we're not seeing that tells me that while the volatility is winding down, it's like I've used this analogy before. It's like a rubber band winding up super tight. And once it gets there, look out. So hopefully you can see my screen here. This is a sideways band that we've seen. If I come over here to let's say June 21st, we're now approaching pretty much 2 months in this sideways band of I would say the median of that band is probably But if you look at the low volatility, so to me, again, this is like that rubber band winding up, right? And then it's going to pop. The question is, when it pops, which direction is it going to pop in? Well, as I said, first of all, it's a prediction, right? Because I have no crystal ball. But the short-term on-chain metrics look very bullish to me because the smart money, okay, which is the long-term holders, people that have bought at lower prices, they've stopped selling. Long-term investors have been absorbing these coins, right, at peak levels. So exchange and money leaving exchanges has signals a consistent buying demand. So we have a net outflow from exchanges into cold storage, places like Abra, some of our competitors, but a net outflow. Okay, that's always bullish. So as I said, I'm totally agree with Will and Willie on this. I'm expecting a big price break from this bearish sideways action in the next week or so, right? We'll see if it takes 1 week or maybe 3 weeks, but I actually expect it to happen in the next few days. And I think we're going to see a recovery to 50 to 60K. We'll see if I'm right. I think it's going to happen quickly when it happens. And I'll give you maybe a couple of other key points that I'm seeing. When I say supply shock, right, what does that actually mean? It happens when there's a shortage of coins available on the market, right, which makes a bullish impact on price. Now, if you factor in the negative news, right, think about China, think about a lot of the comments from the US government. We'll talk about the attack on Binance, kind of it seems like a coordinated global attack on Binance, and a whole bunch of other news that's super bearish. You might say, well, why hasn't the price come down even more? Because we actually fell 50% before this bearish news or before this negative run of news, but we haven't fallen really further for the most part. And so I think a lot of that is due to this reaccumulation with this supply shock, meaning that while we've had the bearish news with weak hands selling, strong hands have been buying, which has basically created, as I called it again, the supply shock. So we've totally seen this before. When we had the bull run from 10 to 60K in October, there was a huge supply shock that was building up for many, many months, which the market just didn't acknowledge, right? And the price eventually squeezed upwards in a very fast move, right? And a lot of the traders were screaming overbought back in December and January. And the reality is that the market wasn't overbought. It was simply finding its balance again with these new price levels, which is not a big deal, right? If you're a long-term holder, this is not a big deal, right? But the market can be very irrational in short time frames. But ultimately, the fundamentals should ultimately prevail, especially in a deflationary currency, right? It's a little bit different when the fundamentals allow you to constantly print new money like the government does, or issue new stock like companies can. But because Bitcoin is created at a specific rate, which is going down over time, the supply shock, is pretty predictable. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. And just to summarize, though, I think that supply shock, and I agree, as I said with Willie on this, it looks like, the different readings point to a price of around 50K just to address the supply shock, right? So as a result of this kind of low volatility, which almost always, comes before a large price move, it points to a move to 50K to me. All right. So as I said, the bullish money has stopped selling. Long-term investors are at peak rates of accumulation. Coins are moving off of exchanges. All right. So that's all, really interesting information. Do with it what you will. You can guess what I'm doing. And as I said, the two newsletters that I think I would encourage you to look at are Willie Woo and Will Clemente. They're both on Twitter, and you can follow them there. Fantastic, a lot more detail than we're able to get into on Money Talks. This is not a technical analysis show. It's really meant to cover the basics, answer questions about what's going on, answer some questions about Abra. I see we do have a bunch of questions already, so I will get to those shortly, we will. So let me talk about some of the news that I'm seeing. First thing I mentioned earlier is I mentioned Binance, and wow, so not a great month for Binance. I don't use Binance. I've looked at it. It's not anyway, it's not my cup of tea, but basically shut down in the UK, shut down in Italy, getting attacked in Brazil. Obviously issues in China. I think that, I'm seeing that there's a lot of volume drying up in Tether. And I think a lot of that actually, I haven't done an analysis, but I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that has to do with the fact that Binance is either unavailable for bank-based deposits or other issues related to Binance. We'll see, but not not a great week for Binance. Okay, so hopefully they'll work it out. I think a lot of people really like them, and so we want basically the crypto to be in kind of this rising tide lifting all boats model. So hopefully we'll work it out. So I see a lot of questions kind of teeing up here on YouTube and Twitter. A lot of questions on Twitter from this morning. Sorry, I don't have, somebody's asking me what I'm drinking from Starbucks, because usually I have my Starbucks cup, but actually was running late today, so I didn't get to run out. I am thoroughly addicted to it. It's crazy. I got to cut the habit. So let's see. Some more news. Let's get to the news. So you probably saw that Square is creating a hardware wallet. It's interesting. Let's see. Ripple still fighting the SEC. I hope they work this out soon. So hopefully, exchanges will get back to listing Ripple. If they do, obviously, and we're clear that it's my take is it's not a security, but if hopefully the exchanges and the regulators will eventually agree, and then we'll be able to relist it in the US, but we're waiting for clarity on that. Seeing more Binance warnings. I'm seeing this now from Hong Kong, Lithuania, Brazil, Italy, UK. Jesus, poor Binance, a terrible week. Digital yuan, $5 billion worth of transactions processed to date. That's super interesting. Here's what I thought was really interesting this week. The chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, had a lot of comments about crypto, where it's all going. He answered questions on central bank digital currencies. He actually had some pretty interesting comments about stablecoins, and he said, it's possible that stablecoins might be a more viable solution for the market than the Fed issuing its own central bank digital currency anytime soon. That's probably true, because the politics of this are going to get in the way, whether it's a good idea or not. So I think companies like Circle, and we'll see other companies in the future, are going to really benefit from this with USDC really screaming in popularity. The volume of USDC we see coming into Abra has been really interesting lately. So a lot of support there. Obviously, we support TrueUSD, which is TUSD as well. For deposits, that's also doing really well for us. Ethereum has seen its biggest dApp launch ever on L2. So Uniswap V3 launched on their Optimism solution. They're seeing now 50 transactions per day. So far, I think, is my understanding of what's going on for Ethereum, Tether, Wrap Bitcoin, DAI, and SNX. So we'll see what happens there. I think it's pretty interesting. I'm a big fan of what Uniswap is doing. I'm a big fan of the DEX model for the future. I think cross-chain is still a big issue that hasn't been fully worked out yet. I mentioned before, we're seeing a significant volume drop globally for Tether. It looks like, and again, I'm pretty sure this is because of Binance and the attack on Binance, but also I think we're seeing a lot of migration to USDC right now. Let's see. Kathy Wood from ARK. I'm a big fan of Kathy Wood. We've had her here on the show before, buying Coinbase shares. That was interesting. I think she's buying more Bitcoin, she mentioned as well. Let's see some other news before I get to some questions. So I know we have a lot of you here playing Axie Infinity and buying AXS tokens, asking if Abra is going to support AXS. Nothing to announce there. Super interesting what's going on. If you're not familiar with what's going on in this gaming NFT economy with Axie Infinity, it is crazy, right? I think that the token was up like over 100% last week. It's just that I think this is the first of many interesting token plays in the NFT gaming space to come. What's really interesting to me about this gaming NFT economy is it's really completely separate from the traditional economy. There is zero correlation between what's happening in the traditional kind of macro economy and gaming. And so I think we're going to see a whole separate gaming economy emerge in the coming months, and I'm super excited about it. So I'll have more to say on that in the future. I really hope that that's something that we can get into at Abra. So if that's something you're interested in, would love to hear about it. And yeah, so let's see. Let me look at some questions here. How are we doing here on questions? So let's see. We've got a few hundred people watching across YouTube. By the way, don't forget to press the subscribe button on YouTube. That helps us with with placement there. So let's see. I don't think we announced the 100K support winner, 100K support, 100K Bitcoin promotion winner. We're going to announce that soon. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, if you have specific support questions, please, for your wallet, you open up the Abra app and you click the Contact Us button. And right now we're seeing response times in the minutes, especially during business hours, okay? And somebody asked me, does Abra itself lose money when Bitcoin or the crypto market as a whole drops in value? So let me address this. So Abra is a profitable company. We have a lot of cash, and we also hold Bitcoin as a policy in treasury. Not all of our money, but some of our money is in Bitcoin. And so obviously when that Bitcoin goes up and down, we make or lose money, but that is separate from your funds or whatever we do to manage Abra Earn for interest earning products, et cetera, et cetera. So let's see some other questions. Is Abra going to support Rune? No plans right now, nothing to announce. We're constantly adding more tokens. We don't pre-announce tokens, but we're constantly looking with our exchange, liquidity, and custody partners. Let's see. Why did you stop supporting American Express? Honestly, the limits were too low. So if you have a Visa or MasterCard, the limits are much, much higher. As a matter of fact, let me talk about that. For those of you in the US, we've raised our ACH limits to $20,000 recently. So that's great news. So you should be able to have a fantastic buying experience if you're using ACH, Bankwire, MasterCard, Visa. The limits are super high now. So as a matter of fact, with Bankwires, we have no limits. Okay. Does Abra disclose transaction history to bank regulators? And the answer is, in a normal course of business, no, we don't. If we get a subpoena for information, if we see suspicious activity as required by bank regulation, we might be required to inform a bank regulator, but for the normal course of business, no, we don't share transaction history with anyone. And of course, we're subject to audits by the regulators as well. So they come in and they can look at our systems, but that's true for everybody in the crypto space, any bank, et cetera, et cetera. So we take privacy and security very seriously here. Let's see, a lot of questions. How do I think inflation will affect the long-term mass adoption of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies? Well, I think that, look, there's 21 million Bitcoin and there's 1 million millionaires in the world, right? So if you just count the millionaires, there's only enough for each of them to hold 21 Bitcoin. And that's not accounting for the Bitcoin that's already in long-term storage. So there's simply not enough Bitcoin to go around, first of all. Second, right, as the governments, particularly the US government, is printing more and more money, right, it's become very clear that Bitcoin is acting more and more like a long-term inflation hedge on its path to becoming true digital money. So we'll see, but anyway. I think that Bitcoin is a long-term inflation hedge, right? I think Ethereum, with some of its recent moves, is really moving down this path of becoming a more stable currency as well. But still, that's not how I view Ethereum for myself. I see it as an application network, kind of the global computer. And to me, it's extremely compelling. So, so I do think certain cryptos, particularly Bitcoin, are an inflation hedge. I think Ethereum is going up for different reasons. And I'm holding both. Okay. Ceci asks on Twitter, when are we going to support the Lightning Network? Love what's happening with Lightning. I've been paying attention to what Strike's doing in El Salvador. We're going to be doing more in Latin America in the coming weeks and months. Our partner in Guatemala has been doing fantastic work. Our cash network in Guatemala is doing really well, and so we're looking to expand that into more countries in the coming weeks. And so look out for those announcements. That's going to be extremely interesting. Okay. So let's see what else. Let's see more here. Mach 3 was asking what my Starbucks order is. So I didn't buy any today. I'm a white mocha guy. I drink almond milk. It's really, I guess the almond milk is okay for you. Almond milk is not good for the environment. My kids are hammering me on that, so I gotta cut back on that. Brendan asks, when will be the next major update for Abra? And then somebody else asks, what is in the next major update for Abra? Well, that would be no fun if I gave it all away now. But look. Our Abra Earn product is killing it right now for us. We've had huge deposit volume into that. The Borrow product has been doing really well. And we're getting a lot of requests. We're getting requests for payment features. We're getting requests for more currencies. We're getting requests for certain tokens. Stay tuned. The Abra team is not on vacation. We're all working super hard. So we'd love to hear your guesses as what you think is coming. But I can tell you the second half of this year is by far, for me, the most exciting time that we've ever in our history that we've ever had. When I look at the announcements for what's coming, it is going to be awesome. Right. So if you think that it's going to be a quiet time for Abra in terms of releasing features, you're in for a big shock. Okay, because it's going to be an amazing second half of the year for Abra. Let's see. So am I concerned with the July 28th call by Congress to address the exchanges? No, this is a pretty normal course of business. I think that Congress is still in learning mode. I'm a little concerned with Maxine Waters' perspective on crypto. But she's just one person, although she does run the House Finance Committee. But I think that I think most people are in learning mode right now still when it comes to all of this stuff. I think that a lot of people, even in Congress, don't really understand the degree to which we already have a very strong regulatory regime for cryptocurrencies in the United States. And I think the question was US centric, but I'm finding that more and more countries around the world are getting clarity now on crypto, right? I mean, look at the crackdown on Binance. You can't just arbitrarily in the West and in democracies crack down on somebody because you don't like them. There needs to be a legal basis for your arguments. And so that implies that there is a legal basis for this crackdown on Binance. And Abra prides itself in operating in a totally legal way, complying with all the local laws wherever we operate. We have lots of partners all over the world that help us facilitate our business, who have different licenses and registrations like we do in different countries. So I think there is a lot of clarity. And so I don't worry too much about that. First of all, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. But even if there was, I think you'll find that there's not going to be significant change on the crypto regulation front in the coming couple of years. I think there's a lot of regulation in place already. Okay, enough about regulation. Is Abra going to have Cardano earn in the near future? I would love, I keep saying this every week, it's a big priority for me for us to be able to stake Cardano ADA. It's one of our most popular cryptocurrencies in the app. I'll bring up the screen sharing here and show you what we're currently doing with Abra Earn. And Oh, so let me answer this one question. I've seen this quite a bit lately. So if you're trying to send Bitcoin to a cold wallet like Ledger, and you're getting an error message from Abra that it's not a valid Bitcoin address, our custody partner does not support SegWit addresses yet. I apologize for that. I desperately want SegWit in Abra. Unfortunately, we're dependent upon them for this feature. So you need to basically generate a non-SegWit Bitcoin address for your deposit. I apologize for that. I wish that they would support SegWit. I've brought this up with them, and hopefully it will happen. So let me just show you what's happening with the interest rates in Abra Earn, as I promised. So I'll share my screen here, and hopefully you can see my phone. Boom, there we go. All right, so you see I've got some Bitcoin here in Abra Trade. I've got some Ethereum in my trading account. I'll go over to my demo Abra Earn account here, and you see we've got USD stable coins paying 8%. We've got Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum all paying around 4 to 5%. Litecoin coming in at the top at 5.25%. Really great rates, the best rates in the business that don't involve a third-party token. And that's why the deposit volume here has been going up. So let me give you a quick demo. If you don't remember, let's say I want to add $500 in Ethereum to my Abra Earn account. So I'm going to click on Earn at the bottom. I'm going to click on Transfer at the top. I'm going to click on Ethereum. And I'm going to click on, let's say, 0.25 Ethereum. Click Review. I'm going to click Confirm. And I've now moved 0.25 Ethereum, right, out of my trading account into my Earn account. And the balance on Ethereum has gone down by about $500. Okay, so super easy. I just now moved a bunch of Ethereum over to my interest earning account here. So go back to, go back to our demo account. You can see that the interest starts earning effectively immediately, right? So it's super awesome. It compounds daily. Every Monday morning, you get those interest earning push messages. I love Monday mornings. Thank you, Abra. I love Monday mornings. It's the messages for me in California arrive around 9 a.m. Pacific time. And for each one of my cryptos, I get a push message on the interest that I've earned. Yeah, it's just awesome. Okay, so nothing like basically getting free Bitcoin to get your week off to a great start. So and make sure you have push messages turned on for your Abra app. So okay, so let me see what other questions we have here. And you can ask questions on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I see all of them. I'm happy to answer anywhere. So let me see what we're doing here. And all right. What will be the next big Abra update? Is Abra going to do something like Shapeshift is doing with Thorchain? So Pluto, I looked at this. This is really amazing. So Shapeshift, run by a friend of mine, Eric Voorhees. I'm actually going to see Eric next weekend. I love Eric. He's a really good guy. I think that what they're doing is basically capitulating to DeFi and saying that, as a centralized company, we shouldn't be managing crypto. I don't actually agree with that perspective just yet. Who knows in the future, maybe in a few years when the markets are ready, when the technology and the user experience is ready. But right now, for most people, that model is just too complicated. Most of our users want a very simple, easy to use, smartphone-based experience. And that's what Abra brings. Now, in the background, we're using a lot of DeFi-based solutions to generate yield for you, right? So if you're earning 8% on dollars, rest assured, there's probably some DeFi system helping us to generate that yield. We curate that extremely carefully, right? So I applaud what they're doing. I think it's bold. I think it's really going to work well for the techies and the people that are super into digging into how the tech works. But I think it's too early for the mass market. Okay. Um, and at the same time, Pluto asks, is it possible that we will work with DEXs? Yes, it's possible. We may put a user experience on DEXs in the future. It's something that we've looked at. It actually gives us more trading options for you versus what we do just with our liquidity exchange partners. The challenge with that is that those tend to be on chain. Well, they have to be on chain unless they're using layer 2. And so integrating those with the app is a little bit complex because then we get into key management issues. So I don't want to dig too much into those details now, but it's supporting both traditional exchanges and DEXs at the same time is actually very complex. I don't think anyone has done that yet that I've seen. If you've seen it before, let me know in the comments. I'd love to take a look at it. Another person asking me about inflation. I've already talked about that. I think that's one of the reasons I think Bitcoin is going to the moon. I also think it's going to the moon because it's simply better money, and it's going to represent a better monetary and banking system along with Ethereum in the future. And we'll see. Yeah, we do have support people in the chat. And I'm seeing a bunch of user-specific questions, which is totally fine, but they're not going to be able to answer your question in the chat if it's about your wallet for privacy reasons. But it's okay to list your ticket number and hopefully they can bump you to the top of the list if you have a specific issue. When is Abra going to allow users to link their bank using just bank account and routing number? So Georgina, this is something that we're currently not doing because of fraud reasons. It's been it's been a big issue for crypto in the past, and we do not store the bank login details. I realize that for some people they don't want to do that, but I can assure you we've processed actually probably billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars in bank deposits using this ACH method in the U.S. Plaid is extremely secure. We do not store, we don't even see the information that you're typing in. It goes directly to the bank. And to my knowledge, Plaid doesn't store it either. I hear you, but honestly, this is a better solution for the vast majority of our users. I'm happy to take feedback on it, but I would strongly encourage you to try this approach. And I think you'll find that it works, works fine. So why isn't Abra mentioned as a crypto exchange wallet by Weiss Crypto Ratings? I don't follow Weiss, but look, tell them that they need to review Abra, and our team here, our support and marketing team, would be happy to support them in getting a demo of Abra up on their site. We do that all the time. We had Business Insider did a great review on Abra a few weeks ago. Maybe somebody can post the link in the chat here online. What's the latest on XRP and Flare? So as I said before, I think this whole SEC brouhaha with Ripple is nutty. Ripple's been around for years. I don't understand why the SEC waited for so many years to go after Ripple. If they felt that what they were doing was an unregistered security offering, they could have gone after them years ago. I don't see how the courts will allow this to go on. I think they're going to more or less force them to either settle or throw out the case. I think it's ridiculous what's going on. I'm not saying that it wasn't a security offering. Maybe it was. What I'm saying is that if it was, why did they wait for years to bring a case? It doesn't make any sense. And I think there are issues with that in terms of statute of limitations. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't follow the case closely, but I just don't support this action. I support strong laws to protect consumers, but I don't support this one. And I think all of you are suffering as a result. And I'm sorry for that, but there's nothing that we can do about it. We're caught in the middle, just like you. All right. Let's see. How safe is Bitcoin deposited into Abra Earn? ABC, that's a great question. It's one of my favorite questions. As somebody who has all of their liquid Bitcoin in another Abra app using Abra Earn, it's very important to me that I feel safe. So let me talk a little bit about that now, and then I'm happy to take any other questions that you have about this. But let me bring up the screen share again, while I'm doing this. Okay, so here's the demo Abra app again, trade, and I'll go back to earn. You can see this account here, this demo account has a lot of Bitcoin in it. It's got 55 Bitcoin in it. So let me talk about how we generate yield and why the Bitcoin is safe. So first of all, we maintain a lot of reserves. So not all of the crypto that you're depositing, not all of the Bitcoin, dollars, or Ethereum is invested. Some of it is actually held in reserves, and that's why we're able to process deposits and withdrawals relatively quickly. Most of you, your deposits and withdrawals will be processed in minutes or hours. Only really huge amounts are going to take more than maybe a day or more than a day. Okay, so that's point one. Point two is that there's several methods that we're using to generate yield. And I think Ben who runs trading for us talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Let me kind of recap that discussion. How do we generate yield with Abra Earn? So we invest in high grade lending opportunities, whether it's hedge funds or other exchanges, funding markets, basically giving us collateral. So if we're lending Bitcoin to generate yield that you've deposited, in return, we'll take dollars, we'll take Ethereum, we'll take maybe other stable coins or cryptocurrencies like Litecoin in some cases, but generally those are collateralized loans. Then we'll also do a small amount of investing into DeFi. We're testing like wrapped Bitcoin in DeFi right now to generate yield. Some of the returns we've been seeing there are very interesting. And then we also lend to you. So we only do dollar lending, of course, to consumers, but there are lots of ways that we're generating yield. And we run a risk management system that looks at all the metrics about how we're doing across all of those different types of yield generating activities. I review that with my team by default weekly, but then we also dig in every day as to what the latest is in the marketplace, what we're seeing. We look at rates constantly. We don't change rates very often, but we're looking at them almost daily just to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So again, it's run in a very safe, responsible manner. I personally have a lot of experience in fixed income. I worked in fixed income at Goldman Sachs many years ago. I understand this stuff. Ben, who runs the trading team, understands this stuff really well. Our guys in the back office, they're fantastic. So that's why my Bitcoin is in Abra Earn, right? We built it for ourselves, right? We wanted a high yield service we could trust for ourselves, right? With our partner Prime Trust, right? As the trust bank, and believed that if we built the right service for ourselves, that you would want it as well. And so far, that's turned out to be spot on, right? All right, so bring back Abra Trade here. Somebody was asking me how to add money from a Binance wallet. So let me demo that. I'm going to go back to the trading screen here. Let me just make sure you can see it. Yep. All right. So at the top, I'm going to click on add money. So you see the add money button at the top, and I'm going to say deposit cryptocurrency. Click deposit cryptocurrency. Now you see these are all of the cryptos, including stable coins that you can transfer into Abra. It's well over 100. Okay. So I'm going to assume that your question maybe was Bitcoin or Ethereum. So I'll choose Ethereum this time. So let's say I want to deposit Ethereum from my Binance wallet. So maybe Binance is getting shut down in my country. So I click, I agree here. And I copy this address. I press the copy button. Now this is my address. You have to copy your address. Otherwise you'll be sending me Ethereum. You copy this address into Binance as a withdrawal, and the deposit will show up in your Ethereum balance on Abra. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And you have to deposit a minimum of 0.05 Ethereum. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Thanks for the question. And let's see. Will XRP be relisted after the SEC case is resolved? I certainly hope so, Marcus. It's not up to me. If it was up to me, this wouldn't be happening in the first place. The SEC has never come out and said that XRP is a security. They've accused Ripple of unregistered security sales, which you could make the case that that's implying they think it's a security, but they've never come out and said it is. It's not that hard. If you think it's a security as the SEC, tell us. But if you don't give us any guidance and we're on our own, how are we supposed to know? And so anyway, so sorry for the rant, but I do think that they're going to settle this, as I said. I hope that the U.S. exchanges and liquidity pools that we rely on relist it, and if they do, we'll be able to bring it to you. If they don't, there's really not much that we can do. And and Dan says, why is it such a prolonged case if it's so obvious? And I think it's because neither party wants to give in. The SEC wants to set a precedent. Ripple is highly financially incentivized for this not to be deemed a security. And so they're both digging in their heels. I think Ripple was probably wrong 7 years ago, but I think the SEC is wrong now. So, the two wrongs don't make a right. It's that simple. Okay, my mother taught me that when I was like 4, right? And so maybe they'll figure it out themselves some point soon. Okay, enough of that. I created an account yesterday, but still waiting for Prime Trust to approve me to add money. How long does it usually take to get approved? So Maddie, usually it only takes, well, for most people, like 85 to 90% of people, it's instant. I know you don't want to hear that. But for people who get follow-up, it's usually the next business day. So if it's less than 24 hours, wait 24 hours total, then click on contact us in the Abra app and let them know that you're still waiting, and you'll get to the top of the queue for a response. Okay. And we actually really solidified our relationship with Prime Trust. They've been a great partner, and we're working on ways to actually even improve response time for people. We're getting inundated with people registering for Abra Earn and Abra Borrow accounts through the Abra app. And so we're working closely with Prime Trust to improve, sorry, let me bring back up my app, to improve the response time for people who don't get approved right away. All right, so let's see. A lot of people are asking about Hex. We've looked at it. We don't have any borrow demand for Hex right now. And if we do, and I get this for Digibyte as well. I know we have a lot of Digibyte fans in Abra, big fan of Digibyte, big fan of Wax and a bunch of other cryptos. Let me stop the share here. So get that off. But to be able to pay interest on Abra Earn is dependent upon effectively borrow demand or DeFi yield generating opportunities. The interest that we pay you has to come from somewhere. Okay. And so, yes, I would love to stake every token to generate yield for you, right? But that wouldn't be responsible because the yield that has to come from somewhere. Okay. So keep the requests coming. It's important because it helps us know where to focus our energy and research around how we can generate that yield for you. But there's no guarantee that there's going to be borrow demand for all of these different coins. We are working on it for Cardano, I mentioned, and a couple of others that we think should be able to generate yield via staking. Unfortunately, Digibyte isn't quite there yet. Hex isn't quite there yet, but hopefully in the future. Okay. All right. Flare airdrop, still waiting on our custody partners on that. We have not been told by them how this is going to work. Once I know, we will tell you. Okay. I don't know what the timing is. I believe they announced months ago that they were going to support it. I think it has something to do with this Ripple case, and that is possibly delaying this. Yeah, I have no insight as to whether that's true or not, but I'm hoping that if the Ripple case gets resolved, maybe this will resolve this issue as well. So again, if you've been waiting for more than a day, you can totally submit a support ticket on your Prime Trust application. Just do that via the Contact Us button in the Abra app. If you're not sure, I can show you really quick. Sorry for those of you who know how to do this, but I think it's useful for everyone else. Just click on the menu button here, click on Contact Us, and you see a pretty cool menu that you can use to specify, right? You can choose what kind of problem you're having. My Prime Trust application, you click Done, and If you're still having a problem, tell them what's going on, and they'll get the email from the app and then contact you right away. Okay, so that's that. Let's see what else. Good questions as always. Yes, I know we talked about Cardano staking. We're gonna drop that topic for now. Hex 19 says Flare will be big. We'll see. Okay, so this is an important point. If you created another Abra wallet and you can't reapply for Earn because it thinks you have one, you need to either type in your recovery phrase in the new wallet, or you need to contact support to let them know if you don't have your recovery phrase so that they can help you recover your Abra Earn account into the new wallet. So Nigel, I hope that makes sense. All right. Normally, the easiest way to do that is to use your recovery phrase, and hopefully that will solve your problem. Hex 19 says he loves the Abra app, so I love the Abra app too. Thank you for that. Let's see. Let me go back to Twitter here and see what other questions we have. Let's see. Lee asks, so this is another question about beneficiaries. So we just added this feature, super cool, really important. Okay. Now, talking about death and dying is never fun, but when it comes to money, it's really important. Okay. So if you use the Abra app and you have a fair amount of money in the app, right, we have this feature to add a beneficiary, right? So for those of you who are non-native English speakers, a beneficiary is the person you would assign to basically receive the assets in question in the unfortunate, in case of your death. All right. So you go to the Abra app, and let me bring up the demo again really quick. Sorry for that. I took it off the screen. All right. So again, you go to the menu at the top, you click on designated beneficiary, and there's the beneficiary. So if you need to remove the beneficiary, you need to contact support, which you can do through the contact us button at the bottom. Okay. Now, there was another question as to whether or not you can add multiple beneficiaries. Not yet. This is something that we're working with the banks on. And as soon as they turn that on, we will add it to the app as well. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. More questions. We didn't do a country check today. Wondering where everybody is calling in from. So Robert says your support rocks in response time. Yeah, they've really nailed it in getting the response times down. We're seeing like sub 10-minute response times during the week. And we're actually seeing decent response times in even certain weekend times, even though we don't even guarantee weekend support. We're still getting a pretty good response time. So well done to the Abra response team, Abra support team. All right, let's see. A couple more questions. Right? Okay? Can I use Litecoin or other cryptocurrencies for Abra Borrow collateral? How does Abra Borrow actually work? All right, let's talk about Abra Borrow. So in the Abra app, and I'll bring it up really quick one more time. We'll go back to the main screen here. And all right, so you see at the bottom, we have trade, earn, borrow. Abra Borrow lets you borrow dollars against your crypto holdings. Okay, so let's say you have $50,000 in Bitcoin, you can borrow up to $25,000 in stable coins, which you can then wire to your bank account or buy more crypto, whatever you want to do. All right, so I'm going to click on apply. I'm going to click on USDC. I'm going to borrow $5,000. Now, we actually have a 0 interest loan option. That's crazy. How can Abra offer 0% interest loans? Let me show you. I'm going to use my Bitcoin as collateral. Now, the reason this works is because I have to give $25,000 worth of Bitcoin in order to get a $5,000 loan. If I don't want to do that, I can actually give up less Bitcoin, but then pay a little bit of interest. Hope that makes sense. Okay. And this 0% interest loan has been really popular amongst all of you. Okay. It's really, shot to the top of the of the loan options within Abra. All right. So I click apply, and that's it. There's a little e-sign that you do in the app, right? After you consent, and then you're done. And then you move the collateral into Abra Earn. You get the USDC in this case, or the True USD, whatever you select, into your Abra trade. You can leave it there. You can withdraw it. You can buy more crypto. You can send it to your bank account, whatever you want to do. Okay. So that's how Abra Earn works. Now, in terms of collateral, let me turn this off. In terms of collateral for Abra Earn, today we support Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? I can see us eventually adding Litecoin support, maybe Bitcoin Cash, because those are lendable assets today where we can generate yield to help defray the cost of the loan, which is why we're able to offer 0% interest loans in the first place. But right now it's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Tell us in the comments and on the interwebs and social media, or feedback in the app, if you would like to see collateral in other currencies, other cryptos, and we'll consider it. But the vast majority of you just want Bitcoin and Ethereum anyway for collateral, okay? And so that's why Abra Earn works the way it does. All right. Yeah. All right. So, I'm seeing a bunch of people here. Twitter in Philippines, in the US, in New York City, in the UK, in Australia. On YouTube, I'm seeing Australia, Netherlands, New Jersey, LA, Switzerland, a Kiwi in Zurich, Switzerland. All right, Nigel, you're confused. Guten Abend in Switzerland. All right, so what is going on with USDT, which is tethered? So Doug, we talked about this earlier. We've seen a big volume drop in new Tether being minted. I think most of that volume drop is for two reasons. The biggest reason being Binance and China. The crackdown on Binance, where a lot of Tether gets generated, is causing the volume of Tether to plummet. And I also think a lot of money is moving to USDC and True USD right now, and they're the big beneficiaries. All right. Use Crypto Today says, do I still earn on deposited collateral when I have a loan out? You do not earn interest on collateral. You only earn interest on what's in Abra Earn. And I would like to see USDC as collateral. Well, that doesn't really make sense. If you're borrowing dollars, using dollars as collateral doesn't really make sense. Okay, so maybe you can clarify what you mean there. Let's see. How to earn money if I can withdraw, how to count the days. I'm not sure I understand the question. So you earn money in Abra Earn based upon the number of days that the money is in the account, and the interest accrues daily and is paid weekly. And you can withdraw anytime you want. And at that point, you stop accruing interest. So hopefully that makes sense. Truth Talker, again, if you have an issue with Prime Trust verification, immediately contact us if it's been more than a week, and we will get on it for you right away. Okay. Crypto Hunter asks, how long are the loans on Abra? So the loans on Abra today go up to 2 years, right? So you can choose anywhere from 6 months to 24 months. Obviously, if you're getting a zero interest loan, for many of you, 24 months is very compelling because you don't have to pay back the principal. And we're totally fine with that. If you want to take out a zero interest loan for 24 months, go right ahead. No problem. Okay. So, all right. So we're going on the top of the hour here. So let me sum up. So we're still in a macro bull trend. We're going sideways. I think that the volatility has dried up. Exchange trading volumes have dried up. That is like the rubber band winding up really tight. And I mean, it is super tight right now. And so I think the rubber band is going to explode. Now, is it going to explode up or down? I think it's going to explode up based upon all of the information that I gave you earlier. Not a guarantee, but it seems to be the right logical explanation for what's likely to happen. Don't put all of your money in anything I say. It's just my reading of what's going on. It's not investment advice, but that's what I see happening. I see crackdowns on illegally operating exchanges. We pride ourselves at Abra on being the trusted place you can go to store your crypto, trade, earn yield, and borrow eventually against your crypto holdings. So please tell your friends about Abra. The number one way we get new users in Abra is you telling your friends about us. Okay. So anyway, have a great weekend. And yeah, we'll see you on the interwebs. And actually, we may not have money talks next week. I'm going to be traveling with some other crypto CEOs, but yeah, so going to get a little R&R. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do a surprise show next weekend while I'm traveling. We'll see. But in the meantime, have a great weekend, and we will see you very soon on Money Talks. Thanks, everyone.